Hi, loves. It is Karen Larea, and welcome back to another powerful episode of Reinvention Real Talk, the space where we redefine who we are, heal what's been holding us back, and boldly step into the love and life that we deserve, especially after 40. And today, we are going to be diving into a juicy and deeply personal topic: dating over 40 and why it absolutely requires reinvention. So, if you've been navigating your love life later in life, feeling stuck, you've been discouraged, or like you feel like you're attracting the same types of people over and over and over, then this episode is for you. So, let's get right into the real talk. So, dating over 40, oh my gosh, it really is, I believe, more difficult than back in our 20s and 30s, for sure. So I want to get into it. I want to get into you guys. Let's start with the top five biggest pain points that people dating over 40, especially after, let's say, a divorce, a long term relationship ends, or just some time off from the dating scene. So I think the number one pain point in dating over 40 or dating older in life is emotional baggage, yours and theirs. Um, you know, Obviously, at this point in your life, we've all been through things. You've been through them, so have they, and it shows up in trust issues, fear of getting hurt again, comparison to exes, or shutting down, when there's conflict, or running away when there's conflict. And it's difficult because we've already have that kind of mentality engraved in us, but we really have to make the effort of trying to overcome those things. I always use the analogy of the next person that you're in a relationship with, obviously, and I think this is at any age, should not be paying the broken plates of your previous relationship. So basically, don't take that. I don't want to say baggage, but I call it luggage. So, luggage into that new relationship, because every relationship is different. That's one of the things I like to say. But, so an example, I went on a few dates with someone who actually was a really nice person, super nice guy. But I totally, by the second date, the first date, all he did was talk about his ex wife. The second date, he talked again about his ex-wife. Okay, granted, I am a relationship coach, but when I'm on a date, I'm not the relationship coach. I'm Karen. I am the woman sitting across from you. So by our second date, after that, I was like, there's not going to be a third date, because to me, the way he kept speaking about her, um, and bringing her up and situations, he had not grieved her. And for me, I was that's a boundary for me. I'm not going to sit there and be the therapist to someone that I could possibly have a romantic relationship with and try to have them heal from that ex person. So it was, two dates and it was gone. I wished him the well. I think he's a great guy, but that's something that definitely, if you're still talking about your ex, you shouldn't even be dating at all. So there's a lot of emotional baggage there. And that was like a comparison or just speaking about, the ex. So let's talk about number two. How about the dating pool? The dating pool is so different. So, like I said before, let's get real. It's not like what it was like in your 20s and your 30s. Many people are emotionally unavailable, they're jaded, or they're looking for situationships. I really think at this time in our life, when we're over 40, we should be dating with intention. We shouldn't be looking for situationships. We shouldn't be playing with people's emotions either, or their lives. Like, either you date with intent and you say, I am dating with intent. It may not necessarily be marriage, but it could be, a long-term commitment. Obviously, you do make clear what you want in that relationship from the beginning. And maybe you are looking for a little bit of fun. I kind of find it in bad taste at this age. But to each their own. That's just me as a relationship coach. Definitely, you should make that clear. Um, you know, it's just, it's, It's really different. You should be dating with intent. You should have a clear intention as to why you are dating. Also, the dating apps. The dating apps have really muddied the water. They really just people think they can just get the next shiny thing from the next, swipe. And instead of getting to know people, how if we're over 40, remember if you're with your partner when they were in their 20s, or your 30s, it's kind of different. You either met them at work, you met them through a friend, you met them out somewhere. So many people are meeting on the dating apps, but they have that, that dopamine hit of like, if this one doesn't work out, I'm going to go with the next one. So you're not really getting to know that person. And honestly, there's been research done, and I have done past episodes this with a psychologist that I brought on, that these dating apps, they actually are designed to keep you on and not find a connection, because that's how they're making money. So remember that whether it's a paid service or not, they're getting paid through apps, not through apps, through advertising. So it really has muddied and skewed the dating landscape. Everyone thinks there's so many more people out there and options, and yeah, there is, but you know what? I would rather choose quality over quantity. So dating apps are completely draining. Let me know. DM me. Let me know your comments. How do you feel about the dating apps? Should I do another episode talking about that? Because I think it's super important. But so definitely, let's talk about that. And then how about identity crisis? Like, who am I now? Sometimes when our marriage ends, our long-term relationship ends, you kind of feel like, who am I? Like for me, at least, when I got divorced, my whole identity was being a wife and a mother. And I didn't know who Karen was anymore. So I had to find myself and reintroduce myself to me and maybe the things that I wanted. So, especially after 40, especially after you've raised kids, you've gone through that divorce, you're not who you used to be. And that means your desires, your needs, your non-negotiables, they have changed. They have changed in this part of your life for sure. And you need to update your identity. You have to reinvent that identity, because if not, you're going to attract partners for the old you, not the new you who is stepping into this new part of your life. When I first after my divorce, I realized afterwards I was showing up in my new relationship after my divorce as the old Karen, as the old version of what I, thought I was. I had to be, that wife, that mother, the one who took care of the house, who took care of everything. If not, everything would fall down. And I didn't take the time to grieve and refine myself. So definitely that's something you really need to work on before you go out there and try to find a partner. So let's talk about number 4, fear of rejection. It hits a little bit harder for us. I think when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and beyond, rejection feels more personal because you've invested years into healing, rebuilding, and growing. So when something doesn't work out, it can shake your confidence in a deeper way. So that's where you kind of have to go back into all that inner work. And maybe if you haven't started your inner work, start that inner work. And that way you can pick yourself up and tell yourself it's going to be okay, and it's not going to hit you as hard, and your confidence is going to be able to be picked back up easier. And number 5, limited time and patience. So let's be honest. We have limited time. I believe after a certain amount of time together, after you're 40 and beyond, you should really know if that person is for you, is not for you, if you're thinking for a future with that person. And honestly, I think a lot of people are time wasters. They're wasting your time if you do not go in there knowing what you want out of that relationship. I don't think at this age, especially after 40, you don't want to say, oh, let's just go with the flow. Who wants a let's go with the flow kind of person at this age? Or you don't want to say, oh, let's see where things go for 6 months, only to find out that that person is emotionally unavailable. Rushing can also sabotage something real, but I think at this age, we don't need more. Gosh, and that's already a max. I'm thinking at this age, over 40, over 2 years to know what you want. There are people who are emotionally unavailable who will waste your time, even myself as being a dating coach. I was with someone for almost 2 years, constantly said to me, yes, you're my end game. Yes, I want marriage. But knew that that 2 year mark was coming up and that was the deadline. And when that mark came up, basically made any excuse that he possibly could and, ran away from the relationship instead of, ending it correctly or, saying the truth and say, I just couldn't commit, which would have been better instead of every excuse. But look, it happens to the best of us, some of us that are very knowledgeable. And every time. And if there was signs and I spoke up about it, it was quickly fixed in his actions and like, look, there was no worries. So it was smoothed out and it wasn't by words, it was actions that he actually took and said, hey, yes, I do want a future. So sometimes people do pull that sheet over your eyes, I kind of have to say. But at this age, I don't think we need to wait more than that. Definitely. So we do have limited time. You have to kind of decide and not play those games. So, that's really important, I do believe. So, but let's talk about moving on why reinvention is non negotiable. Okay. So let's flip the lens and we're going to talk about why reinvention is the secret weapon for dating after 40, my friends. You know what? You attract at the level of your healing. Okay? Because reinvention, when you are reinventing yourself and saying to yourself, what is it that I want in a partner? What is it that I'm looking for in love? What is it that I'm looking for in life? Reinvention means clearly cleaning out those old wounds, clearing out those outdated beliefs and fear based patterns. It is so important to forgive yourself and heal so you can attract a good partner, a partner that is at your level. Let me give you a healing tool, okay? So, I'm huge on writing things to yourself or writing things to another person, writing them down, even though you're not going to send it, but it's really a great way just to get yourself, your emotions out there. So I'm going to give you a healing tool. I want you to write a letter to your younger self, apologizing for the ways that you accepted less than you deserved. Okay? Less than you deserved in every past relationship to that younger self. Maybe right now you're 57. I want you to write that and think about that relationship that you were in. Could have been in your 20s and how you accepted something that was so much less than what you deserved. I want you to apologize to yourself. And then at the end, tell yourself that you're going to do better by yourself. Definitely. And take that into heart and maybe put that letter somewhere safe and reread it every time that you may think you're accepting less than what you believe in. So that is very important. And, number 2, reinvention is identity work. Who are you as a dater? Let me ask you, who are you as a lover, as a partner? You're not the same person who's going to accept breadcrumbs. You're not going to be the person who's going to beg for attention. If you're accepting breadcrumbs and you're begging for attention, you need to go back and you need to do a little more self-healing because none of us deserve that at all. So you need to reinvent yourself as the person that you would like to date, as the version of you who honors your worth so the others can treat you where you are supposed to be treated. All right, guys, number 3, reinvention, it builds confidence. It builds confidence, the sexy kind. So there's nothing more magnetic than someone who knows who they are, what they want, and can walk away if it is not aligned with them. So reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's actually returning to yourself, but this time with power. All right. So number 4. All right. It helps you love without settling. When you reinvent yourself, okay? And when you've reinvented your relationship with yourself, you won't fall for the charm without the character and the actions behind it. Okay. You'll definitely, you're going to be more open, but you're going to be more protected. So definitely remember, which I'm huge on, actions is everything in a relationship. So remember that. I always say men fall for visually and women fall for what they're told. Neither one is right, okay? Because visually, yeah, she looks good. Remember, sometimes that all this just goes away. Or I had one time I actually had one of my I was coaching them. I had come out of a long-term relationship, and they were telling me about when they were dating. And he had said that the first time that it was weird that he had gone over to her house, she said, "Oh, I'll be back. Let me get comfortable." No joke, true story. I won't say who told me, which one of my clients, I won't name any names, but that when she came back, literally eyelashes were gone, a whole bunch of hair extensions were gone. She had like her hair up in a ponytail. She wiped her makeup on off and just had like, shorts and a t-shirt. And he's like, it wasn't that glamored woman that I came in with. So remember that, the visual part. And women, you can't believe what you're told. If that man is not responding with his actions and not just his words, listen, men are about actions. So just remember that, okay? All right. And number 5, let's get to 5. You start to date from desire and not desperation, okay? Reinvention helps you stop chasing love to feel complete and start attracting what complements your amazing life that you have already started to create for yourself, all right? So remember, dating after 40 isn't about starting over, it is about starting right. So super important, guys, all right? So let's take some tools. I'm going to give you some more tools, all right? So here are 3 ways. Do this. Let's make it actionable. Here are 3 ways that your dating reinvention can start today, guys. Get a notebook if you need to. Bookmark, where we're at in this podcast if you got to come back to it and rewrite it down or listen to it again, all right? Number 1, define your dating identity. Ask yourself this question: who am I becoming in love? Okay. What qualities do I require in a partner? And how can I embody these qualities too? Because you can't ask from a partner what you're not willing to give back. You can't want them to be open, but then be shut down not to answer questions. You can't expect them to be incredibly lovey-dovey and you're rude. So, it's really a balance, and you want to embody those qualities also of the partner that you're seeking, okay? Number 2, I want you to detox the wounded picker, all right? I want you to create a list of all the patterns you've dated that were rooted in wounding, all right? Write them down, and what healed version of you would choose that differently. Some of us choose people that are emotionally unavailable. Some of us choose people that are very negative. Some of us choose people that maybe not be as outgoing. Some of us may choose people wounds that we have not healed. So you need to heal those wounds. All right? So you don't attract those partners, all right? And then I want you, number 3, I want you to create a worthy woman or worthy man ritual, okay? So every week, I want you to do one thing that connects you to your worth. A solo date. I'm huge on solo dating. Huge, 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 huge. All right. I love it. I love solo dating. I love going out by myself. I love taking myself out to dinner. I don't sit at the bar. I actually sit at a table by myself. I don't have my head buried in the phone. I'm actually looking at people. I love telling stories, like making up my own stories in my head about people that I'm looking at in restaurants. I love taking myself for ice cream afterwards. I love taking myself to the movies. I love going to the museums by myself. I think solo dates are absolutely a must. They are a must. You have to learn to be by yourself and be comfortable by yourself. Huge, okay? Journaling. I want you to journal. You don't have to journal all day long. It could be, 3 minutes of your day that you're going to be journaling. you know, what your feelings are, what your dreams are for a relationship, for the type of partner you're seeking. So I want you to journal 3 minutes a day. That's all you really need, okay? Just do that just to get, that moving into your world, and that kind of that energy moving in and bringing that person into you. All right, breath work is super super important. You definitely can go like onto YouTube and find some breath work videos. That is huge. Meditation is huge. I begin every day, every morning, I meditate. Sometimes when I'm feeling I need a little bit of centering, I will put on a quick meditation. I think it is so important. So either breath work or meditation is really important. And maybe even updating your profile, your dating profile, if you're on the apps, from a place of power, not desperation, from a place of what you know, what you want in life. So definitely those are 3 ways you can start your dating reinvention today. Alrighty. All right, so you guys, you have to remember dating over 40 is not a death sentence. It is a doorway into radical self-love, a doorway into healing old wounds, into healing old heartbreaks, a doorway into attracting someone who needs to meet you where you are, not where you used to be, but only if you're willing to reinvent yourself and do the work yourself. So many of us avoid facing our own lions and would choose to recycle the same people over and over instead of doing that work on ourselves. So I will leave you with this, all right? If you're tired of playing small in love, if you're ready to release the past and date from a healed place, and if you know you're worthy of love that matches the version of you that you have worked so hard to become, then it is time to reinvent your love life. All right. DM me the word reinvent. Let me know what you're doing and what steps that you've taken to actually bring in that love that you so deserve, that all of us deserve. All right. Head over to my Instagram and definitely connect with me on there. Alrighty, and until next time, you guys, I am Karen Larea. This is Reinvention Real Talk. And remember, you are worthy of a beautiful, beautiful love.